Rufino Colon, now 65, was diagnosed with HIV in 1991 and believes he was infected with the virus in 1983. He has been a peer educator at the AIDS Service Center, New York City since 1999 and has worked in its creative writing workshop since then, eventually becoming a co-facilitator of the group. What was your life like 20 years ago when you were first diagnosed?
Miserable. I was active heroin, IV drug user.
A lot of people who were diagnosed in those days did not make it before the drug cocktails were available in the mid-90s. Everyone's chemistry and approach to living with HIV is different, and you managed to survive through all this. What has kept you going?
I read an article once where it said that research showed that people with HIV living with the virus to get involved, whether they become advocates or involved in another way with HIV programs like a peer educator, tend to live longer. And wanting to live, I decided to come to an agency like this one.
Right, you did say that people who get involved in their own treatment and in their own recovery live longer. So what did getting involved mean for you?
It helped me stay grounded, meaning not giving me a purpose. For people who are in recovery from active addiction, one of the main things that we need to have a destination when we leave the house. And AFC afforded me that opportunity, and made me feel like that I was useful.
So when you first came to AIDS Service Center, you came seeking help.
It was for selfish reasons. I wanted to make sure that if something new treatment came down the line, I would get the information here and be one of the first ones online. When I got here, I started caring about other people. I had already begun to care about myself, but I realized that the more I cared about other people, the more I cared about myself.
You now work with people in drug rehabilitation as a peer educator, providing peer support. What's involved with that work? I
like to think that I guide them to finding their own solutions. It varies from problem to problem. Some of their problems are medical, and are based on fear and what. So as a peer educator, I've had experience on how to talk to a good doctor, what type of questions to ask.
A lot of people out there say, hey, addiction's a very difficult problem. What makes people change who have problems in recovery?
Speaking from personal experience, I decided that I wanted to live, plain and simple. And I knew. When I was first diagnosed, I relapsed back in 91. And I went back out and I stood back out for about 5 years. And the only time I went to a medical appointment was if I had drugs in the morning, or if I was going to get medication so I can go get it, so I can go get more drugs. So when I came into recovery this time around, I knew that if I relapsed again and went back out there, knowing the history of my addiction and how it manifested itself, I wouldn't survive. And considering the medications, the new treatments that were coming out, I had a very good chance of living a long life in spite of the virus. You got to remember that when I first got diagnosed, people that were being diagnosed were dying within 18 months to 2 years after not being diagnosed. So originally I thought it was a death sentence. But when I realized that I was going to live, I didn't want something on me.
And what made you want to live?
Just the love of life. And part of it, I think, when I got involved here, I felt like I made a difference.
What do you and the people with whom you work, what do they need in order to both survive HIV and practice safer sex as well?
Education, education, education.
You don't think people have the facts at this point about it?
I think that they have the facts, but sometimes it has to be reiterated in order for them to internalize it. And we educate them and let them know that there's other things out there, or reinfections. There might be different strains or strains that resistant to certain medications.
You once said that the hardest people to reach are the very young and the very old. What do you mean by that?
The very young think that they're never going to die, and the very old feel like I've lived my life, so why do I need to use a condom?
So what works with them?
It's a difficult population, but we have reached that population, you know, and let them know that they can live a fruitful life and still enjoy sex with condoms.
Talk about the poetry program that you're involved in, the creative writing workshop. Had you been a writer before?
No, as a matter of fact, I didn't. My mentor had recommended it originally. I was a very poor speller, and I was very intimidated. But as I got involved, I became more confident and I became better at spelling. But it serves as a therapeutic tool, outside of the fact that it gave me a voice, because what I write on paper is just between me and that paper. Now, if I'm talking in a group or I'm talking one-on-one, there's certain parts of me, certain things that I don't want to reveal to people, whether it be out of shame or because I want to look a certain way or something. But when it's me and that paper, that barrier is not there. So it's very therapeutic for me. And I can express who I really am more freely. And what happens is when you're expressing your truth is that you uncover stuff. The more you reveal, the more you uncover. And that's the value of writing.
And you've become a co-facilitator of the group as well, helping others. These are folks who probably didn't see themselves as writers or poets, and yet they have become that, haven't they?
Absolutely. And it's so rewarding to see the transformation as I went through the same transformation.
You once said that helping others helps me. How does that work? How did you discover that, and how does that work for you?
It makes me feel like I make a difference, you know, and when I see people, you know, people who may come through those doors and have a dead stare, and then, you know, maybe a few months or even however long it takes, a year, whatever it is, they look right in the eye, and you know, where before when you looked at them, they might cast their eyes downward because they're so full of shame that they find it difficult to make eye contact, and you see that change. It's one of the most rewarding things there is for me.
And what message do you want to give to people who are living with HIV/AIDS today?
That there's hope. That it's not a death sentence anymore. That we are fortunate to live in this time where medicine has come so far in HIV treatment, not only the HIV antivirals, but also to treat the symptoms like PCP, which you hardly never see no more, like wasting syndrome, which you hardly see no more. Understand? There's hope as long as you could maintain your appointments and try to live as healthy as you can. There's hope that you can live a long life.